My name is Andrew Yu. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Modo Labs. We provide mobile software platform for universities and enterprises. This is my third startup company. So I've actually been, for the past, I would say, 17 years, working at different startups. And there's a lot of ups and downs and all. But this particular startup company, I think it was, I sort of look at it as my life's mission. To really bring wonderful mobile technology to the end users. In this case, universities, students, faculty, staff, as well as visitors, and really believe in the providing this great, wonderful technology that we had developed out of MIT to really spread it around the world. And there's been a lot of challenges, but also I think as long as we're believing in a mission, and all those challenges actually become trivial at some point. Usually with any startup companies, and in fact for any other companies, large companies, I think the dealing with people in general becomes a very challenging thing. You need the right people, and you need basically the right team to work with you to do that. Now, not everybody's going to be perfect, and not everybody has to be geniuses, and some people would have great work ethic and they really do their job well. They're extremely dedicated. Some people might be just brilliant, period. And understanding and knowing how to work together as a team, and having setting a common goal, if you will, I think that's a very powerful, positive message for things that potentially could trip you up. So we've had some difficulties with some of those the traditional startup challenges, such as some folks may not be the right fit at the very beginning or something like that. But as you gradually grow, I think we can continue to sort of improve ourselves by adding the right people, as well as working with the right types of partners. From a startup entrepreneur perspective, I think there's a lot of wonderful blogs out there that really provide wonderful education, if you will. One of the blogs that I've been following personally was David Skoke's blog. He is actually a partner at the Matrix partner. And he's written wonderful pieces about everything from SaaS, business model to other things, and also there's some personal education, if you will, of how some of these founders have written about their own difficulties and challenges and how they're able to overcome those things. But the other thing that recently happened to us is, as we got investments from Storm Ventures, actually one of their VCs partners, is a wonderful mentor. So I kind of compare this to having a really wonderful golf coach who can basically tell you how to swing different clubs, and having that level of sort of a coach is really helpful. And I would encourage any startup company founders to essentially not only look at the money that's coming in, but look at who it is that's going to be advising you and then coaching you. So I think there's a lot of things out there that you can try to find information about. And also, to a degree, I think there's a lot of founders who sort of seek out each other. So I was contacted through LinkedIn and some other means by some of the other, I think there was a Harvard alum who actually reached out to me. And so we actually had a meeting, and there's so many things that we shared in common. And he wasn't in the same field, but certainly he's actually dealing with similar challenges, and it was great to sort of network. And I think from time to time it'd be great to just continue on that network and sort of share with the other founders how their experience has been going. That's a really tough question. So we're not, at this point, I wouldn't say that we're standing at an abyss or anything like that at this time. But there are certainly many challenges that we have to prioritize. So the biggest challenge for us right now is the growth. How do we grow from where we are today to the next level? And I don't necessarily compare that as our back is against the wall, and we kind of have to fight our way through. But it's always great to sort of, I think, imagine, if you will, a particular target. So I'm going to think very, in a manly way, and just figure out who your enemy is, if you will, and then figure out how you're going to attack that, and then basically execute, have a plan, and then really execute systematically So we view there's a couple of companies that we view as our direct competitors. And how do we actually execute in such a way that we can really beat them and have our customers come to us instead of them. And I think there's a lot of great things that you can learn from the general strategy, if you will, to apply to this business field and really come up with a plan and then really come up with a way to execute. So these days I wake up every morning, and because we're an open source mobile software company, there's a lot of adoption that's happening throughout the world. And I think on average, each day there's at least a dozen plus universities or organizations around the world who fire up a Kurago server. That's our mobile optimized middleware server. So I can see that. I can see, the other day somebody from Philippines came over to our office. They were actually very interested in working with us. And it was kind of, I never knew that they were using our software out in the Philippines, or for that matter in Switzerland, or United Arab Emirates, or Taiwan and China and so on. And so it's really inspiring for me to actually see that the work that we've been putting into is really making changes around the world. And we are really providing the work that we did for many years to the entire world, and thereby making some small difference in terms of how people use mobile applications for universities and then the enterprise. So I think right now, for me personally, that is what's really driving, and also having the goal. So we actually have a chart at the office. We actually many charts at the office. One is, for instance, the list of universities in the U.S. or the list of universities in the world and in the ranking. And each time I actually see some university coming up, for instance, I would sort of highlight them. And so just being able to sort of fill up the whole thing, and then just looking at our progress on a daily basis, and letting everyone at the company know that this is our goal. And the reason why we are doing this is really inspired by some of these things. So it's not about what we are doing or how we are doing it, but it's also about why we are doing it. And I think the why factor in this case is very, very compelling for us. So the other day, a student from MIT came. Actually, I invited a student from MIT to come to our office because he wrote an email to us 4 years ago saying that this technology should be spread throughout the U.S. or at least in the American universities. And now we're doing this worldwide. And so I think there are, I don't think he remembered that he actually wrote this email. But those little serendipitous moments out there that really compel one to think about that. And so we actually have that posted in our company wall. And so we kind of use that from time to time to really think about why we're doing this, and really trying to get our technology spread throughout the world. I think, I'm sure everybody's read the Steve Jobs biography and so on. Personally, I think there's a lot of things from that actually has inspired me a lot. I think his Stanford commencement speech that mentions about, I guess something along the lines of, staying hungry and, really thinking about the future and really executing towards that. I think that's really what's been inspiring me personally to be able to sort of think through and really get all these things done. But the other inspiration that came the other day, somebody actually sent me an article from Harvard Business Review. I think this was Professor Christensen. I forget the exact name. I think he's the guy who actually wrote the Innovator's Dilemma and so forth. A very famous professor. And he actually posed this question, of the value. So a lot of successful, business folks, they end up with a broken family, and they end up with a lot of, pain and suffering from the personal life. And I can clearly see that. And obviously, I sometimes I still sleep at the office. So we raise the VC funding and all that stuff. But there are times when I feel like, okay, I really have to work on things and so on. So At the moment, I don't really have a lot of family life, but it's actually good for me personally to be able to really focus on the business. But for those folks who are out there doing this with a family, basically thinking about, it's not just about how successful you become from a business perspective, but also from a personal perspective, especially when you have kids and when you want to have a family. And I think all those factors really should be factored in. So the real value, true value of what we are working on, I think should be thought through, not just in terms of the valuation of the company, but think through this from the holistic perspective of personal lives.